we're just doing the pledge and then.
Pledge, then the approval of agenda, and then we go to executive session.
Yeah.
Day I had a meeting. It's like, I'm looking at my calendar, it's like, is it tomorrow or is it Friday? Gotta get there early. Whew.
If it gets put wrong in my calendar.
You are live when you're ready to start.
Okay. Okay, 5 o'clock. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Starting out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Madison?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up is approval of the agenda from our last meeting, or I guess our previous meeting, other than the retreat. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the agenda.
And
I
a second?
second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, agenda is approved. Oh, actually, I was saying the minutes of the agenda for today. Never mind. Okay, next up is the executive session, so I'll make a motion that we adjourn to executive session. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.
I'm getting tired of
My,
cutting
my company made
small.
me retire from Big Blue. When I went to this last company, they were like.
We're live
"Oh,
again?
Sorry.
Okay. For 6. I haven't heard that one before. Okay, it's 6 PM, so we will have a motion to reconvene. And next up is the approval of minutes for August 20th and August 27th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I move we approve both the 20th and 27th for
And a second?
minutes.
A second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Next up is informational reports. Dr. J.
Yes, Dr. Rakowski, members of the board, guests, thanks for being here. Just a couple things. So one, I'm excited to share that we were recently invited to Fort McDowell, Yavapai Nation for the Prop 202 Grant Recipient Award Ceremony. And Marissa Flores and myself and Krista all attended. It was very, very nicely done. And we accepted a check for $15,000 for our Native American Cultural Center. And I just want to give a shout out to President Patia and all the tribal council members for their support of our school district. And it was just really good to see Marissa talk about where the money is going to go and how it's going to impact the center. So very, very excited about that. Second thing is I'm excited to share that we submitted 2 A+ applications for this year, one for the high school, one for the middle school. It was a lot of work, and I will get you a copy. It is, the high school one is a 50-page summary of the high school, which I think you'll be excited to read. Really good stuff in there. And the middle school one we'll get you a copy of as well. A couple of things from that really stood out that I was really excited about. We ran a lot of data in the application, and I got to say, I don't know of any high school that has more college and career readiness than Fountain Hills High School right now. And it's a true, I think, testament to the vision of the Portrait of a Graduate from a few years ago when we implemented that, is to have our kids graduating with, just being so far ahead of where a lot of kids are when they graduate high school. 30% of our students are participating in the ASU program, which means if they all stay on track, 30% of our graduates will have a year of college done when they walk out. So talk about college readiness, they'll have a year done. We have 25% of our eligible students attending the EVIT Central Campus, so that's not even including our satellite programs, but just the EVIT Central Campus, getting career certifications and leaving high school with that. And some of them are getting both. So they're getting a career certification and a year of college, and possibly some of the younger students may finish with 2 years of college by the time they graduate. And then on top of that, 100% of our graduates do a senior internship somewhere, either with EVIT or the Chamber of Commerce. So when you couple all that together, that's pretty impressive for a small little school district, that we have that kind of college and career readiness, and that really stood out in our application. So just wanted to share that with the community, and I will keep you updated if we are selected for a site visit. In the next couple of months, we should hear back. So with that, I conclude my comments.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Dr. J? Okay, then we'll move on to governing board member reports. And Bernie, do you want to start?
So I attended 2 activities at the McDowell Mountain Elementary School, the Be Kind Assembly. The kids, I haven't seen so much enthusiasm in there. It was pretty raucous, and I think several others might make a comment to that too. And then the second one was curriculum night. And it was neat to go in and meet a handful of parents. The only disappointing part was there weren't more parents that showed up. But the teachers were all there. The classrooms are ready. I went and talked to the teacher that I'm going to be mentoring for and got a little heads up. She's already got a student picked out, so we'll go through the process and do it the right way. But it was interesting and good to be there and seeing all the interest in meeting some of the new teachers that were there. And then finally, I went to the first home football game, and it's easy to draw a crowd when you're doing well. Now, it's really a challenge to do that when things aren't going your way. So it's really important to get the word out and get people to show up for the football games. And the pep band was great. The kids are basically working together with George, who's coming in on the first period and working with them. And it was really good to hear him. I even sat in one of the rehearsals and played my trumpet with them because they're missing the trumpets because they have other things to do that conflict with band. So I don't think I helped them that much.
It's a thought that counts.
That's it.
Okay. Ken, want to go next?
I don't have much this board meeting to report on. I actually took some time and went out to visit my son in Wisconsin, and between that and then trying to catch up on my work that I missed out on, I was unable to participate in a lot. But looking forward to the next time I get to report out. I'll have more to say.
Okay, thank you. Lillian?
I also attended the Kind Assembly, and I have to say thank you to the Rodolfi family because I did go last year also. Might have been more raucous this year, but I think they tried to get them to do that, so it was really a lot of fun watching them. The kids really got into it. I was impressed how they came in, very organized, and how they left without a problem. Many of them wanted to take pictures with the group that was there, so they were very accommodating. It was really nice. And of course, I did the board retreat with everybody here, which worked out very well. Thank you to Dr. Sweeney for guiding us. And I thought, boy, we really worked together well. It worked out perfectly. I attended the coffee with Mrs. Pinto and with Dr. J. And I have to say, I really wish more people would come because you do get a lot of information. And Kane has questions for people to say what they want to see here. So it's always nice. There were a couple families that were new, so that was really nice to see. So I recommend everybody attend and you find out about the schools and what each principal's doing.
Okay. Madison?
I too attended the board retreat, which I agree with Lillian. It was very productive, very wholesome discussion, and I think it was really nice that all the discussion had positive, it was just done with a positive mindset, and I think that we were able to reach some very productive and good goals that hopefully allows Kane to then set goals for the district as well. I too attended Coffee with Kane. I did it virtually, which I love, and I think that that's a great way for people that are even busy and maybe still taking care of other things to just tune in and listen to the discussion, because that too is very wholesome. It's very nice to see community members and people taking interest in our district and getting behind our district. And then just a thought with that is when it comes to the parent nights and the pep rallies and things like that, maybe we could work some partnership with things like Parks and Rec, where they have the things locally around that announce different events. I don't know if we could create a partnership with them and maybe even the town government to maybe have a link there to some of our events or something, just to maybe spread the word out a little bit more, because I think that is what's lacking, is just more attendance at all of these events that really extend the hand for people to become partners with our district.
Okay. So I also went to the Be Kind Assembly, and as the others mentioned, it was very raucous and energizing and that, and it reminds me how old I am. Couldn't keep up with them. Coffee with Kane, I also attended virtually yesterday, and very informative and good to have that. And of course the board retreat, and the nice thing about that, I think we worked well together, accomplished it, and we finished in record time, which I always appreciate, so it was good stuff. All right, moving on to other reports. The site council minutes are in our packet, pages 16 to 40. Any comments or questions about those? Okay, if not, current enrollment on page 41 of our packet. As we are aware, the enrollment is down, unfortunately, but we keep trying. Any questions or comments about that? No? Okay. Moving on, the next item is the public hearing on the revised budget. So we need a motion to suspend the regular meeting to conduct a public hearing on the revised budget for 2025-2026.
I so move.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Hartman.
Thank you. Actually, he's just a reminder of FHUSD.
Cool.
It's one of the
You need to mic that
qualifications to do
works.
finance.
Yeah, so it looks smart. Thank you, Ms. Andrew. Great. So, President Rogowski, Vice President, members of the board, thank you. Feels like just yesterday we were here in June. There are really not many changes from the June one. I'll highlight the changes in my presentation here, and then take any questions. But the good thing is, like we talked about, Dr. J and I were pretty conservative in June, and that's a good thing. So there are really no surprises, which none of us like, but I can't promise that there won't be another revision before May, before the required one in May, but if there is, there is. So just to give you an update on the timeline, if you remember this from the last one, you all approved the proposed and the adopted in June, and then here we are tonight for revision. I put number one, but could be like I said, the only one, or there could be another one. And then we have the required one at the end of the year that it balances, and then we go into FY27. Just that's over the next calendar year. Again, state statute regarding budget revisions, why we're here, really to go over, it's mainly about M&O and capital, but everything's in there. And then I will highlight what's different. So you'll notice, same chart I've used throughout. We look to the state finance page for the ADM calculation. It's on your summary, page 1. I put that as well where it is in your packet. It's the teacher in me, sorry. So summary, page 1, we estimated 920 with all the decimals after, and it is still that on the VSA 55 report. So the enrollment, I believe, is 990, but that still correlates to whatever the state had last spring. So that could change a little bit. If it does, we'll do a revision, but for now, that's what they calculate our funding at. So same RCL, and then if you remember, we had in previous years been getting 1.3 million for the M&O override, and this year it's 1.1, and will decrease exponentially after this year. Yeah, we were able to carry forward more M&O than we thought for budget capacity purposes, so that's good news. Green is good. is the green. So again, we don't want to spend our entire budget, but it certainly gives us a little more breathing room in terms of, just peace of mind. Prop 123, we didn't budget anything in June because it was an unknown at the time, and we talked about hope is not a strategy. So we are getting a little over $72,000 for Prop 123. We're not getting the 120 that we got last year when we got one-time 50,000-ish on top of that, but 72,000 is 72,000. We have not, at this point, budgeted anything transferring capital into M&O. So the GBL for M&O is larger because of the carry forward and the Prop 148 than we had estimated in June. So just to give you the idea there, what's different than from your what you approved on June 18th.
And I'm just going to add one thing for clarification. So on the enrollment, you got to remember that when we give you total enrollment numbers, that includes preschool, which we don't get funded for. So, and then kindergarten's only half funding in Arizona. So that's why when he has it at 920, the actual report we ran last with the county when she was here last, it was at 925. So right on track, maybe a little bit above, and that'll fluctuate as the year goes on. So even though the total enrollment's higher, we always give you enrollment numbers of all students in the district, but we only get counted for those 925.
And that may change based on the 100-day enrollment, right?
Correct, yeah, we waited for the 10-day and then we looked.
It's about a 15-day window we looked at. So after the 10-day drop, historically, we've typically stayed the same or have gone up as the year goes on, but that 10-day drop is the unknown.
Yeah, and the 100th day is in January?
January, usually 20th, right around
So we'll reassess after that. And again, these don't take very long, and then the theme of complete transparency, I just, I don't view having to do one as a negative necessarily. We're just sharing with you, how we're budgeting and what we're budgeting for. Any questions on M&O? And then capital. We were a whopping $536 off from what we had estimated for our additional assistance, again, 3 months apart. And then the unexpended carry forward again, about $3,000 off of what we had in June. And then we should have about, I didn't put it in here because it's not on the budget sheet. I didn't want to put anything that's not on the budget sheet because we just calculated it the other day. We get about $35,000 in interest from last year, which you can unofficially add to that balance, but it's just not in here because I like it to match the budget sheet, but it will be on the next one. And then our GBL, went down, like I said, a little bit, just because of those two numbers. So that's where we are with the major funds. Dr. J talks about all the time. We do have reserves and funds we can use. We are, a lot of athletics this year is fundraising and self-funding. The coaches and Ms. Wynn have been very supportive of that. So we're moving right along. The AFR will be before October break. Let's do the 15th, but I don't really want to spend my October break on it, so we're going to aim to get it done before break. And then after that, we'll have a better idea of where we are June at the next meeting, kind of like we did last year, June and September. And then after we finish the AFR, we'll have the ensuing months, we'll have like 3 months of board reports. So that'll be exciting for all of us. And that's where we are.
Okay. Comments, questions from the board? Okay. Are there any public comments, Krista, for this? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, I'll move that we reconvene the regular meeting. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're back to our regular meeting, and any public comments now? Still none. Okay. All right, on to action items then, starting on page 54, the Personnel Action Report. Any questions from the board about this? No? Okay, who would like to make a motion to approve the Personnel Action Report?
I mean, we have a personal action.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Next up is the payroll vouchers, starting on page 56 through 60. Any questions about that? If not, I'll move that we approve the payroll vouchers. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, next on the accounts payable vouchers, starting in page 61. Any questions about these?
I was definitely going to ask about the Climate Tech one. It was, I mean, we see a lot from them, so I was just wondering specifically this 15,534.
Yeah, I can speak to these. We've had, with hot weather, and kids coming back, there's always going to be air conditioning issues. Every district has them. Ours have been, relatively, I'm happy with where we're at. Remember early in the summer, we had the York chiller go down, which was concerning because we have a dual system. So when one goes down, you're fully dependent on the other system. So we had a lot of work done to get both chillers up and running, and they are both up and running together, which is what you want. We've had some individual units that have needed addressing in certain buildings. So we had a 5th grade classroom where we had to replace a unit, and then we have currently one in the middle school that's being replaced. So those things happen, but I can say that there is some maintenance. Todd Harris has been working really hard with Juan and Climate Tech with Bel Air to get ahead of some of the maintenance issues. And we do have some big ones that we're gonna have to address this year. But we're hopeful that, in time, hopefully we'll have some land sale money to help us refresh some of that and bring in a engineer to look at the whole system and really give you guys an analysis to make some decisions. But these are typical of this time of year where it's so hot and there's so many units running.
Yeah, I've had to spend some time on the phone with some air people as well
Yeah.
lately too. But then there was the Bel Air Mechanical for $11,689.
They're all gonna be the same, and I will just say that, the one thing, you met our rep, and he's very good about getting us to the front of the line and getting them out quick to fix things, and the last thing you wanna do is disrupt a classroom by having them move to a different room and disrupt the learning process. So, I'm actually kind of pleased with our air conditioning. I mean, a year ago, on the second day of school, we had to relocate students at McDowell over air conditioning issues. So I think we're way ahead on the maintenance where we've been in the past. We still have some tower things to do, which will be pricey, but those are things that we can do. They got us on a schedule of some things that they want us to do. We've worked with Climate Tech to have a better relationship between us, them, and Bel Air to all be on the same page with these repairs, and a lot of that, I think is Juan and Todd Harris working to make sure that we're doing the right things to keep things running. So I'm happy with where we're at with air conditioning right now.
That's excellent, because I remember one of the things was they kept kind of saying, well, that's a them problem, and so having someone like Todd who's just.
Todd's been very hard on them
top of it
about
was
working together.
Great,
So,
so
yeah.
that's excellent.
And I saw at the beginning of the year when one of the chillers was down, so I'm glad to hear that they're both working, because I saw everybody in there working at the same time.
And just to give an update on that piece, so we were very concerned, and I know I talked to all of you about, it was a motor, it was gonna be really expensive, it was gonna be down for a while. They were able to actually repair without, I believe, putting in a whole new one. So the expertise that certain, vendors have on this equipment is very challenging to work with, very hard to get to the parts, and the fact that they do it so quick has kept us up and running. So like I said, I'm happy with where we're at with AC.
And then, I see a lot of, and they're not anything that raise red flags, but like the ACE and the Amazon, are there any open POs currently with something like that, or are those pretty?
We have one open PO with Ace Hardware that I'm aware of, that Juan and Todd keep a very close eye on. It's under the thresholds, because there are times where they have to go get a part, and we don't have, to ask them every time to do a requisition is challenging. So we keep it minimal, and Val Fernandez watches it as well. And outside of that, the Amazon ones would be actual requests for each purchase.
So with ACE, like, do they still kind of assemble a list and then go, or is it kind
Yeah.
of like they can stop by and pick up something?
No,
as
they
need?
go when it's needed, and they have to sign off on it.
Okay.
And the couple of the Amazon ones that you saw were, one was shade for the elementary school pickup line, which the Rotary Club installed, which saved us a lot of money. And then we also bought some backup coolers for situations where maybe a room is hot, or the pickup line is hot, for teachers to have an evaporative cooler out there. So all smaller purchases, most of those are capital, but that's typically, and Amazon would also be supplies for a certain grade level if they work through their principal and work through Chris with their budget to be able to buy stuff.
Anything else? I'll email Chris.
Okay,
I
thank you.
had one question, and I think I probably know the answer to this. Salt River Project for $55,000, is that a monthly bill? It's on voucher 2607.
SRP?
SRP, yeah.
If it is, it would be for the whole district.
Yeah.
I
Right.
would think that might be a
Which is
little
mostly air
high.
conditioning, and so with lights and stuff, do we have automatic shut-offs, all that
Yeah,
stuff's
we
already?
do,
Yeah,
but we
so-
did just, it is gonna be a little higher, because when we were down to one chiller, as I explained to each of you when I called, I ran it continuously, because if it shut down, I was worried it wouldn't start back up. And we were on the first day of school, and I did not want to have the first day of school with no air. So we did have to do that for about a week,
Yeah,
until we could get that motor replaced on the York. But, so you might see a spike in that a little bit, but we have multiple people that keep an eye on those bills, and
okay,
they're,
yeah. I just saw the
Yeah.
price, like $55,000.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big bill, okay. That's all I have. Anybody else? Okay, thanks. All right, so do we have a motion to approve the accounts payable vouchers?
I so move.
And a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, 4-1. Next up is donations on page 77 through 91. And of course, we are very appreciative of all the multiple donations that we get from businesses and individuals. Much appreciated. Any questions about that or comments?
Thank you, Bernie. I saw the one specifically for marketing and recruiting. I think that's pretty awesome. And then I love that, someone made a donation and gave teachers money for supplies in their classroom. I think that's really neat. So thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, is there a motion to approve donations?
move we approve the donations.
And how about a
Thank
second?
you, everybody.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, next up is the board goals on page 92. And I have if I can find my thing here. Yeah, there you go, thank you. Oh, it's here somewhere. So there's 4 goals that we came up with this past week. And we came up with the 4 in a couple, these were all wordsmithed a little bit, and as I had, number 1 would be basically almost the same words that we came up with on this week. It's just to remove one of the phrases, so it would be develop and implement new initiatives / practices / strategies to optimize our enrollment numbers using social media and or other methods to highlight our district's quality and innovative programs. And basically the change is that phrase to optimize our enrollment numbers was at the end the other day, and I would suggest to move it up to bring more attention that that's the goal of what we're doing, and the social media is the kind of the means of doing it. So that's one proposal.
I would say I do like the words strategic marketing plan. I think that that's a very important part of the goal. So I think that could, maybe the intention could come first and then the, goal part of it. Like if the goal or the intention is to optimize student enrollment, it could be execute a strategic marketing plan. If you want to flip that around, but I do really like that wording probably more than the develop and implement new initiatives, practices, and strategies.
Well, my thought is that the initiatives, practices, and strategies are more specific. Strategic marketing plan, strikes me as being a business, which we're not really, I guess we are a business, but we're not really a business.
Well, I think we could combine it and say to optimize enrollment, create and execute a strategic marketing plan to showcase our district's innovative programs.
And I like the wording that you have, which makes
Okay.
sense.
Well, so I don't know, should we do a motion for each one individually or both together, or the whole thing together? What's best?
I think if that's the only one that is.
Well, number 2 I want to change to.
Okay,
Yeah, 3 and 4 I think are fine as is. So should we do one individually or just all together?
I would make a motion with the changes,
Okay,
and then if that doesn't go, then keep trying.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was number 1. That's my,
One motion.
Yeah.
okay, that's my proposal for number 1. And then number 2 would be basically the same as what we came up with. That is, formulate a transparent, comprehensive, short and long-term financial plan for the district and its students. That's the exact wording that we came up with this week. So I'd like to keep that wording. And 3 and 4, I wouldn't make, is different, but I think they're fine in the rework by Dr. Sweeney. So my motion is to accept the goals with number 1 changed as stated, number 2 changed as stated, number 3 and 4 as in our packet. So is there a second for that motion?
I second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, 4-1, so the goals are approved as per the amendment. Thank you. Okay. So we're back to revised budget 2025-2026, which is basically approving what we talked about, okay?
Yep.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the revised budget for 2025-2026. Is there a second?
I second, and thank you for being so conservative that it worked out perfectly.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, if so, do we all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the updated extracurricular fees.
I have some questions on this, unless you were going to kind of explain it first, but.
Sure, for the extracurriculars?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I see two changes regarding junior cheer. We actually have our coach here tonight. One thing I just want to point out is this is a year-long program, so it's a little different than other sports, correct? Yep. And so The fact that like a typical club or sport might go for a month or two or a trimester or whatever, so that because it's a year long, I think that's part of the reason why it increased. But yeah, I can take any questions you have.
So, my read of this is that we maybe didn't have one at the middle school last year.
Right. We
Okay.
did not.
For middle school cheer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the middle school
We've
cheer.
been trying to rebuild that.
Okay, and then my next question would be, why would the elementary school be more than double the price of the middle school cheer?
Coach, if you want to come up, you're welcome to. My understanding would be that it's the elementary's full year where the middle school is seasonal, or is that full year as well? Come on up.
We weren't prepared to, like, stand up here, but.
That's okay, we don't
You can
bite.
tell by our attire, but, the elementary program, we don't have uniforms or anything like that. Those have to be purchased, for the girls each year, so that's part of that cost. And it's running from September 15th until April 2nd, so it's pretty much the entire year. Whereas the middle school program is going to be run as a club for the next couple of months and then switches over to a sport in February. You want to add to that?
So do they incur an additional cost when it becomes a sport?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
175, I believe, when it switches over to being a
Okay.
sport.
Thank you.
So my next question would be, since this is, fairly spendy, even though it lasts for a year, do we have, I don't know, some kind of ability for other parents or people in the community who want to donate to
Of
help
course.
pay for kids that can't afford to?
Just like any sport in our
Okay.
district, if a kid were to come to Livona, and remember, she's our school psychologist, so they come to her a lot for different things. And she's in the beautiful library, so she's got a beautiful view there. Kid, very accessible. They can come to her and say, look, a parent, I want my kid involved in this. Is there any support or help? We always have donors who do that. And we try to make sure that they go through the free and reduced lunch program, and that they make sure that we have something on file there. And we can also set a fee to work with them through the year, especially one that, if they were on a payment plan or something like that for the year. So, yes.
Well,
Okay.
and this is something too that Val's Club could, the Falcon, can't remember what it was called, the Falcon Flyers, I think. Yeah, to fundraise to essentially pay for things like that. And then also $250 for a year of dance is nothing if you go to a dance school. My daughter wants to do dance, and I'm like, that is the most expensive hobby you could pick almost.
It really is, and I think it gives opportunities to our students that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Absolutely.
But just to add, we do give scholarship opportunities for kids that cannot afford that. We've had donations given. Last year, we had 2 girls that were under that program, and we were able to fund that for them, so it was not a hardship to the families. So as long as we are aware and we can work with the families, it's not a problem. We do have donors that have generously donated some funds to help cover for students that can't afford it.
And
So-
parents can also use tax credit as well, so.
Right.
So, and I just want to say, while I got them here, I went to the end of the year assembly last year where they performed.
Yes.
And to see our
Yeah.
kindergarten through 5th grade elementary girls out there, it was like a high school assembly.
They were incredible.
And the goal of this, when Lavona and I started talking about this 2 years ago, was to start building school spirit at a young age. And when they wear their uniforms to school, that's a big deal in elementary school, to wear their uniforms on different days and be a part of it. And they came to high school events. They came to my 20th year reunion for our state basketball championship, gave flowers to each player. It's a cool program, so I'm glad they're here tonight to be able to explain it to you.
And if I may, I'm Fallon Montgomery. I'm the head coach for the dance program at the high school. My intention with the middle school is to create a pipeline to the high school. And by having us as the coaches for all 3 schools, we can have continuity and really promote school spirit, which is why we would like to have a year-long program at the middle school, is so that they don't just have the spring semester to be cheerleaders. You know, they can do it all year long. We can do it alongside the high school. We can do it with the elementary schoolers. That's really important to us to build the school spirit.
Yeah, and you keep that close-knit
Yeah.
feel, and they build friendships that last the whole time. And then I bet the more you see them doing things like dance and stuff, the less you see them in your office for emotional support, because they're
That's
doing,
true,
it feels so good to do stuff like that. It's great.
And we're really hoping that by doing this and involving the elementary kids as well as the middle school kids, that it will increase attendance for those high school games to support our high school level athletes. Just to get the community more involved. That's going to increase attendance for all of those activities, just having the families and friends of the younger generation that are maybe guest performers on occasion. So we have high hopes for the program and the growth in the district, and just building the team spirit and the feeling in town that maybe they want to come and support us, so.
I assume you'll have them at the homecoming parade?
They
Yes.
are.
And I don't know of any elementary school that has their own cheer program like we do, where they wear the uniforms to school, they perform at assemblies. That's pretty next level, so
Yeah,
they're doing a
thank
great
you.
job.
Perfect. Those
Okay.
are the only questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Anybody else with questions? Or okay, who would like to make the motion to approve?
I so move.
In a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's approved. All right, on to information and discussion items, starting out with the GPEMC IGAN resolution.
Guppy
Dr.
Mac.
Jake? Guppy
Yes,
Mac? Guppy
yes,
Mac. Okay,
Dr.
very
Kowski,
thanks.
members, board and guests. This is our annual renewal of the Guppy Mac membership. Per a previous board's request, we do not do a 3-year renewal like a lot of other districts. We bring it yearly. I support that. I have no concerns with that. I just will say that they are a very valuable resource to myself in a very isolated world. So I don't have the large cabinet size of other districts and lots of other colleagues to bounce ideas off of. So when they do put on these conferences, they're very well done. They are available when members have questions about how to implement or how to do something. They're very good at getting back to us, and they keep us updated with any changes with laws and policy. So I think it's a very good value for the money.
How much does this one cost?
What you have the cost of it?
Is the invoice not in the packet?
I didn't see the number. I see the agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no number there.
With this, because they do conference and stuff, what were some of the tools or the resources or events that you utilized or used that you feel made this a good investment?
I'd say, first of all, there's always a monthly or bi-monthly conference get-together where you have opportunities to break out with smaller superintendents that have similar issues as you. So like, for example, it's $1,339 for the year. I'll give an example. I met through Guppy Mac, Robbie Corporate, who is the superintendent of Holbrook. And he's been doing it about 20 years or so in a small district, similar size as us. And recently, we have started to I've started to really push hard on small districts sharing employees. So we started that earlier this year with our mechanic. And we have a meeting, I believe, next week with Cave Creek regarding sharing some special ed costs. And I wanted to start really putting it out to all small districts to come to a virtual meeting that I'm going to lead about how we can do this more effectively. And I came to know that the northern schools already have something like that. So I called Robbie, and we had a great conversation about that and about their consortium up there, and wanted to make sure that what I was trying to do wouldn't interfere with that. It would not. But then as a result of that conversation, he had some really good ideas on how he handles when a teacher goes above their mean confer numbers. And it was like a really innovative way of doing it. So I think that's an example of the collegiality opportunities that someone like me, who's very isolated out here, has to meet with other small superintendents and large as well. So it goes both ways. And then they put on usually a very nice agenda of, like Arizona legislature, what's going on in the legislature, what could be affecting us. We just had some changes to some laws that are going into effect later this month that I reached out to the leadership of this group, and they sent me PowerPoints and things I could use with it. So I think it's just another opportunity for me to have some group of people to make sure when I maybe don't know the answer, to get the answer or get a series of answers. So I think it's a very valuable resource.
Other questions? No? Okay. Moving on, then, the superintendent's evaluation tool. And this basically, our packet has two. It has the one that I guess we have been using, and then one formulated by ASBA. I mean, my 2 cents on it, I kind of like the one that we have been using. I would just, I'd make a suggestion for our consideration is that on page 1, if you look on page 105, I think it is, 105, the headings there says performance exceeds criteria, performance meets criteria, and that. On the left, it says policy and governance performance standards. If we choose to use this, I would suggest that we change those headings to performance exceeds standards, performance meets standards, and that third one, instead of has not met, does not meet standards. It just seems more consistent with, because what criteria, it's not clear. But I think this one covers the big things, and I would, suggest that we stick with this one with maybe changing that wording. Other thoughts?
I do like your wording, and I feel like the one from the School Boards Association is cumbersome, it's very long.
It's long.
And I know we would need several hours in executive session to go through this. I kind of liked, what was it, there was the way they put highly effective and so on, but it just seems like too much. I think what Rich is suggesting sounds good.
I do like your word changes. I agree. I think that this ASBA evaluation tool is just way, way too cumbersome.
Yeah.
I've never even worked at a company that required this much on evaluating myself or anyone. So I think it's far too stringent and way too much. Also, I would like to say, I mean, just throw out there that it seems to me that this tool that we've been using, or that the board has used in the past, it doesn't necessarily address superintendent goals. So to me, I mean, it does. I mean, you can evaluate the superintendent based on how he's done towards his goals, but I just wonder if we want to consider an area within this, if we keep this one, where we orient it towards the goals that Kane's going to be drafting and will be looking at, because that's really an area where we would be measuring him.
I almost feel like we can come back and look at this, since we're adapting our goals and then Kane has to do his, just to make sure that the wording corresponds.
Yes.
Between one and the other. but keep the framework that we have and not make it cumbersome with the other ones.
And if we approve this next meeting, we can always later change it at any time, right? Make amendments to it? We're not stuck with this.
I'm not even sure that you need to approve it.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
if we just continue to use the existing tool.
Okay.
I would just say, you know,
Well, if we change the wording to standards, don't we
Yeah,
have
I
to, like,
mean,
at some point,
yeah,
vote to say?
if it was a drastic change mid-year, that might be hard to.
Yeah, well, it's only a couple
That's not
words
fair.
there. I mean,
No, but if you're talking about just adding a goal section, like I don't really have any concern with whatever you choose to adopt. So, but yeah, if it's just something like that, I think editing that's not a problem.
Yes, there's comments at the end, evaluation
Right.
summary strengths, areas for improvement,
Mhm.
and we can maybe tweak that to direct it to the goals, add something at some point.
I think so.
Okay. Other thoughts? Okay. So, moving on. Policy advisories. This one wasn't complicated. Goodness. And I think one of the doesn't, we're not an accommodation school, correct?
No.
Okay, so policy 916 doesn't even apply to us. And 915 just, changed some wording to, that they moved the bus driver requirements for fingerprint clearance to another policy and that, so it's really nothing controversial or of concern with 915 and 916. Okay, other comments, questions about policies or? No? Okay. Next up is policy GCQC-R. Is there an acronym for that? Goosey? Liquidated damages. This we had kind of talked about last meeting a little bit. And I guess the only question that I had raised is whether the current wording with having spouse could be discriminatory. So at some point, could we ask Dave if that's?
Well, I did follow up with both attorneys, Dave and Dawn Johnson, who typically we go to for labor questions. And in my conversation with Dawn, he was very clear about that if you're going to ask for liquidated damages, the district really needs to be able to support that there were damages. Okay, so that's the first indicator. So we have had in the past, I'm sure, someone say, I'm not paying that and I'm willing to go to the association or whoever they're going to go to work through that. He said, if you can't show damages, it's a really hard case for him to defend if we had to go to a court case over that. So the damages would be additional costs that the district is not prepared for, excessive costs that the district has to pick up because of someone breaking their contract, okay? The second side of it is you have the professional side of this, which is through the State Board of Education. So abandonment of contract, those can be reported by us if we feel someone has abandoned their contract and put kids in a bad situation. So there's really two sides to that policy. There's that. The hope is, the other piece of it that can be hard is when someone leaves quickly and they don't have another pay coming, getting that money back is challenging too. So there are a lot of districts reconsidering how they're approaching it. The way I look at it is our job as district admin is to prepare you with all the facts, so when those come to you, you have the information to make the decision that you want to make. I think in the cases where people have left for, a cause that falls under that category, maybe you want to expand those categories to include, moving to take care of family, something like that you could add. But in the end, if they leave professionally and they give the district an opportunity to find a replacement, and it doesn't have a negative effect on cost, those damages can be hard. Now, the cost on children, which was brought up last time, they don't have a teacher, there's a shift in the middle of the year. That, I think, would be dealt with through the professionalism side of things and the State Board of Education.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's certainly, valid. The only question I have is that whether spouse relocation should be reworded to relocation out of state, make it more general. Because otherwise you could be discriminating against someone who doesn't have a spouse.
I think if
That's
someone's
my concern.
relocating out of state, that's a pretty large move. I mean, it's a big life change.
So just to get rid of the word spouse.
And if they're working with us and giving us opportunity to resolve the issue, where I feel like this policy has some teeth and where it helps us is when someone decides to abandon their job in the middle of the year and takes another job somewhere in the local area, or walks out on the job without a job, and they could have stayed. Because my response to those people is always this: take a leave of absence then. We can do that for a period of time. We can work with you through whatever you're going through. But to leave and walk off the job in a professional, certificated, contractual job is not professional. So there's a way around it. We are very accommodating to avoid that, but I think when someone puts us in that spot, and we've had that happen here as a board, where we've said, no, they have to pay the liquidated damages, that would be where unprofessional act, didn't give us a chance to fix it, does not meet any of the requirements that are on there, and we are paying costs to fix the situation. Yeah.
Well,
Other comments?
As long as I've been here, I've seen more, waiving of the liquidated damages than I've seen, of us implementing the policy, which, so to your point, we've been very accommodating.
Yeah.
And I think the policy is fine as is, because it gives them acceptable reasons that are, for the most part, outside of your control. And like I said, as someone who doesn't have a husband, that word spouse doesn't offend me one bit, because I'm not going to be forced to move out of state because, not having someone take me out of state. So again, it would be a decision I make, either to sign my contract, and then a decision that I make to leave my, what I'm saying? So and it does say advancement in position, so if they're getting a better job somewhere else, they can go, and we waive that. So I think this is a very accommodating policy. I do believe that if we're not going to adhere to it, then we probably just shouldn't have it. But I think that it's important to have people honor their agreements. So, like I said, I think it's accommodating enough, and I don't see a problem with it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, I think the comments that Dr. J brought up about hitting those two criteria is essential. And I'd be willing to say we just eliminate the word spouse, and it still reads fine.
Yeah.
Because the key is you don't want them to stay in the area just because they didn't get along in the job or something.
I can just see the reason the word spouse was there is that it's beyond their control. They wouldn't have moved.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the spouse has to move, so
Yeah.
therefore,
And you
that's
wouldn't
why,
want to split up a family.
in a way, I'd
yeah.
be okay with leaving it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas
But
if
I-
it's just someone's decision to move out of state, that's a little different. They
Yeah.
could see their contract
I mean-
through unless it's an advancement in position or circumstances beyond the control of the employee. So I feel like this is it's actually a well-written policy, and encompasses kind of all of the factors.
You could add to, moving out of state to take care of family, if you
Yes.
wanted to, because that could be out of your control. You could have someone who has a relative that has no one else, and they're forced to go, and it's not job advancement, they don't have a spouse, and it
does
covers
have
that.
Circumstances beyond the control of the employee, which again is
Okay,
very
yeah,
broad.
okay. That's- If you
That
want
is-
to,
That is broad.
you want to
So I
consider
think
that for those
people could use that,
situations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
and
generally.
as someone who actually has had to make the decision to take a leave from a job and then was let go because of it, because I had to be the caregiver for my dad, I think I could have, I could have taken advantage of circumstances beyond control of the employees. So I'm okay with it. Again, I think as long as we are focused on whether we have damages or not.
Yeah.
And if we don't, then there's no reason to try to get damages. But if there are damages and it doesn't fit this criteria, then we go forward with it.
Is there some kind of formula or criteria that we have to determine that pretty generally, or is it just case by case, you kind of have to do a dig and see?
Yeah, I mean, we can have Kaylee, when we have an issue come up like this, clearly state damages for you, so you can have it as part of like, this is what we expect it to cost. So you can factor that in. It's hard because, let's say you have a teacher who leaves, and we have to find a sub, and we're paying where the real concern is the effect it has on the classroom and on the kids. And I think that's the part where we, as district admin, take care of that on the professional side and report that to the State Board of Education, and then they decide if they want to take action or not. So sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. It depends on the situation. But I think if we can give you a guarantee of where Kaylee can stay to those documents you received, that yes, there is damages, here's how much it is, or no, there is not. Yes, this is being reported to State Board of Education, no, it is not. That may give you more clarity in making decisions.
That would be excellent.
Okay.
That would be good.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Anyone else? Okay, so I guess we'll decide about this at the next meeting. We'll decide whether or not to make a motion to remove spouse or not.
Okay.
Okay. Next up is the job description for the middle school and high school LPN. And I do have some concerns about this job description.
Well, we figured that, Dr. Rakowski.
Yeah,
That's
well,
why we have you.
okay.
So let me give you some background first,
Okay?
and then get your red pen out and let us know what you want us to shift. Really, the reason I'm bringing this to you is it would be a shift in the district, how we kind of done things in the past. So we checked with our attorney on, is there a requirement for an RN versus an LPN? There is not, according to everything we've been shared with. So this would just open the opportunity for the district nurse, the lead nurse, because remember, we have health aides at certain schools, but the lead nurse who takes care of a lot of the reporting, working with the Department of Ed and county health, whatever, all the things that we have to do, this would just say that an LPN would suffice for that position. When I've spoke with several nurses about the difference of RN versus LPN, there was nothing that came out to me, and that's why I'm going to defer to you as a medical doctor here. Is there anything that would be concerning for us that they would not be able to do? Remember, if there's an issue at McDowell Mountain and the district nurse is stationed at the high school, paramedics are going there first, and they're going to be addressing the issue before our nurse even would get there. So most districts have health aides in the individual schools and then a lead nurse or some kind of district level nurse. So that's really the thought process behind it, is to eliminate one position. We have a high school, middle school campus that maybe has 600 kids between them, which is a middle school size for most districts, small, very, very small high school size. And sharing a campus, could one district nurse be available to the entire campus? That's really what we're looking at here. So we'll do whatever you recommend, but we want to bring it to you.
Okay, well, I'll just kind of run through this and get people's comments about that. And if there seems to be agreement, I could always just give a edited version for next month. So starting out with the job goal, the end of the third line says the LPN provides direct health care services. I think that needs to be changed to something like the LPN provides health care services consistent within licensing limits, because there are limits on what they can do, which is more specific. And it goes on, supports health education, maintains accurate health records, and coordinates preventive and emergency care. I don't really see the job of an LPN in a school to be giving preventive care, because they don't give vaccinations. They shouldn't really be counseling on things.
Diagnosing
Yeah, so I would, it coordinates emergency care. I mean, urgent or emergency care. I'd get rid of the word prevented in there.
Okay,
Under the essential duties and responsibilities, the first bullet point, oversee all the health needs of the middle school and high school campuses. That word "all" bothers me. You don't do all the health needs, just the emergent or urgent ones. So oversee the health needs
Yes.
or emergent health needs of the middle school.
Yeah, I prefer.
Going down to, about 2/3 of the way down, the bullet point that starts with develop and manage, student medication action plans. That's beyond to develop a medication action plan is beyond, my understanding is beyond the licensing of a LPN. So I would suggest changing that wording to something like administer/deliver student medication action plans, because they are developed by others,
Right.
by their physician or whatever. Support, let me turn off my phone here.
That's what you get for being a doctor.
Yeah, well, it's not, it's just a reminder or something. Support, the next bullet point, support and participate in the educational referral process, providing health data as needed. I'm not sure what the educational referral process refers to in this setting. I mean, what exactly is the LPN
Is
gonna do?
that to say, like, if you have a student that needs an EpiPen, that they would need to let him know? Is that what this
or
refers to?
maybe they see something that may need an accommodation or a 504 plan. I could see that.
Okay,
Oh, so
all
they
right.
can refer for
Gotcha.
additional.
Okay, so
And I
that's,
want to, and I will say, I believe Kaylee took what we had already previously from years ago as a job description.
for an RN or an LPN?
I think she probably combined it.
Yeah,
but
it's
that's
probably
why
more
we-
RN.
We wanted you to look at it.
Yeah, so I'll think about that. I don't know. I think that's kind of vague and it's not really clear. Next bullet point, lead and manage the school surveillance medication program, including maintaining and tracking stockpiles of emergency medications, for example, albuterol, epinephrine. So the question there is, who provides the emergency medicines? Is it provided by the family, by a nurse practitioner or a physician
Yeah,
prescription?
I think there's some things that we get from the county, like, that we have available to the nurses, and then some of it is provided by the student. And then if they graduate or they leave, they may have to manage, like, any additional medicines that are left behind that maybe never get picked up.
Okay, and the stuff that's provided by the county, how would the LPN determine when and how to administer them?
So I would have to go back and look at the last one we had. It was about 2 years ago, and I remember having a conversation with the county. They came out and trained our nurse, who was an RN at the time, on whatever the request was. I can't remember. It was, I want to say it was something to do with like an inhaler of some sort that they provided to the schools if you went through the training, and the nurse at the time wanted to do that. So there are times where those opportunities come up.
Yeah, I would limit it to the provided by the family, the parents with,
Sure.
provider prescription, a licensed provider prescription. Going down under that lead and manage thing, the third small bullet point, training staff members on emergency medication procedures and documenting all training. I don't think that there are many LPNs that would be qualified enough to train others on those things. So I think if you're doing CPR and AED, you should have the fire department come in and train, not relying on an LPN to do the training.
Okay, that's where I was going to go with it. It's typically the ADE machines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, on emergency medication procedures, wouldn't that be stuff like an EpiPen or?
Could be
Backup
Narcan. It
Well,
could be.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think, but to rely on them to be the trainer,
well, I
I don't
think
know.
they're
I
the
mean,
ones that are.
I could even volunteer to come in and train. I mean,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't rely on an
We could
LPN.
do-
I mean, maybe some LPNs that are qualified to do this, but,
Maybe coordinate the training.
yeah, coordinate
Yes.
the training of staff members on emergency. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I like that.
Coordinate. Write that down. Okay. Going down, the last bullet point on the page. Coordinate appointments and follow-ups between the health aides, students, families, staff, and outside providers. I mean, coordinate appointments, I don't think that the LPN should
Yeah.
be making appointments. I mean, I don't know who tracks whether the student has to be released from school for an appointment? Is that the LPN's job, or is that the front office?
No, but it
or-
could be maybe working with a family that needs